Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 31st of October, now it's 20 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me highlight one very important topic to me personally and for this project, which is that, as you know, YouTube, especially recently, are acting even weirder than usually, and many members of our community did write to me that my channel can be deleted at any time, which I understand, and because of this, I will once again ask all of you to consider to subscribe to my Telegram page and my channels on Rumble. These channels are reserved lines of communication at this point, while I still have a channel on YouTube, but well, as many members of our community are suggesting it's only a matter of time when YouTube will take down this channel, and if you will subscribe to my Telegram page and Rumble, we will just stay in touch. This way, you can see links, by the way, not just on the description box, under every single video on YouTube, but also in the pinned comment. You can see here a link for a Telegram, which is this channel, by the way, on which I do share dozens of posts on daily basis, news updates, and every single post, by the way, is reaching 400 to 500 views, maybe even more regularly, and this post, by the way, I posted just this morning, and they already have almost 200 views, 150, 200 views. So it's a very useful addition to our project. And also, by the way, when it comes to Rumble, I have two main channels on Rumble. One is about news and political commentary with the very same name as on YouTube, Levan Gudadze Opinion. I only have 1,440 subscribers on Rumble, which is great, of course, but of course I would like to see our community on Rumble grow. And also I have a channel on Rumble, From Russia with Levan, which is a channel about life in Russia, with minimal talk about news and politics. So I will be immensely grateful if you will consider to subscribe to my channels on Rumble and Telegram, main sources of communication in case YouTube will delete this main channel on this platform. And of course, by the way, if you can and if you want to, you can subscribe on my Patreon page. A link is also here in the pinned comment. So hopefully you will consider this, because well, lately YouTube truly acting so weirdly that I don't know, my channel can be deleted today, tomorrow, just about any day. That's been said, let's talk about news now. Plenty of news, dear friends, so I will try to go through at least headlines to highlight all of them. So first of all, I will share with you information about the situation in Dagestan after riots took place in the capital of this republic, in airport area. And for this moment, according to reports from Russian officials and Russian media, situation is under full control of authorities and the police. Yesterday afternoon, President of Russian Federation Vladimir Putin held a meeting with high-ranking Russian officials, with Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, heads of security services, police and security services. And during that meeting, open part of that meeting, and after, Russian media did a report about statements that Russian president made. If I may, I will translate entire this news and I will read it for you. I will use Google Translator. So, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced attempts to destabilize and split Russian society from the outside, including with the help of sophisticated technologies. The head of state is holding, this was said while he was holding a meeting on the situation in Dagestan. At a recent meeting with the leaders of religious associations, I spoke about attempts to use the dramatic situation in the Middle East, other regions, other regional conflicts against our country, against Russia, to destabilize and split our multinational and multi-religious society. For this, a variety of means are used, as we see, and lies and provocations and sophisticated technologies of psychological and information aggression, Putin said. So basically, Russian president did acknowledge that in large, these riots in the Dagestan was provoked by forces from outside of Russia, and well, from many other high-ranking Russian officials. We have who to blame. Basically, because it was openly said that Ukraine's secret services were involved in this provocation, and Ukraine's secret services are actively using social media to destabilize situation in Russia by spreading fake news and stressing people. And also, by the way, whenever we are talking about Ukraine secret services, of course, we have to assume that behind all these activities are also secret services of UK and the United States, because they are basically main curators, masters of Ukraine secret services, let's say this way. And dear friends, TASS news agency is also reporting that Zakharova, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, also commented on the situation in Dagestan, and she said directly that the Kyiv regime played a crucial role in that incident in the Makhachkala airport. So, as I said, many high-ranking Russian officials are directly blaming Kyiv regime and forces that are behind the Kyiv regime. Also, by the way, head of Chechen Republic Ramzan Kadyrov commented on the situation that took place in the Dagestan day before yesterday. And well, he also condemned aggressive and unlawful behavior that took place in Makhachkala airport. And if I may, to be more precise, I will translate these statements also. So the head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, commented on the unrest in Dagestan in his Telegram channel, noting that one cannot follow the lead of Russia's enemies and undermine the situation from within. One cannot hold rallies and destroy airports. In view of the latest events related to the tragedy of the Palestinian people, I emphasized that the Israeli regime showed the world its true face, organizing real mass terror against civilians. But you cannot follow the lead of Russia's enemies and undermine situation from the inside. You cannot hold rallies, smash airports, and search of people of Jewish nationality and call for violence. We must be above all this and maintain order on our land. Such actions are unacceptable in any case and will be suppressed very harshly, Kadyrov wrote on his Telegram page. And also, by the way, Kadyrov stated that there were attempts to provoke, to destabilize situation in Chechen Republic also, but local authorities deal with the situation rapidly and did not even give a slight chance to provocateurs to achieve their goals. And for this moment, dear friends, when it comes to these riots in Dagestan, what is known is that about 150 individuals are identified who were active, not just actively participating in these riots, but acting criminally and harassing people and destroying properties and so on, and provoking further escalation, let's say. And at this point, 83 of them have been arrested, and I guess during the day today we will receive some additional news from police and security services about some additional arrests that was made. And of course I will share this additional information on next updates and on my Telegram page. Also, by the way, TASS news agency is reporting that a US ruling establishment, US ruling class, according to Russian president, is behind of escalation conflict in Ukraine and in the Middle East. Yet again, hard to disagree, really. And if I may, I will translate this statement also, just to share maximum information, by the way. And I will use these translations quite often if you find it interesting, because you can pause if you want to screen and read it. Also, so the ruling elites of the United States and their satellites are behind the conflicts in Ukraine, the Middle East, and the other regions of the world, Russian President Vladimir Putin said, opening meeting on the situation in Dagestan. So this was stated exactly during that meeting about situation in Dagestan yesterday afternoon. So both behind the tragedy in the Palestine of the Palestinians and behind the massacre in the Middle East as a whole, behind the conflict in Ukraine and behind many other conflicts in the world, in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and so on, are the ruling elites of the United States and their satellites, said the head of Russian state, emphasizing that this is obvious to everyone. He also pointed out that Americans are planting military bases everywhere. US government definitely plants military bases everywhere, using military force on occasions and without any occasions, sending weapons and financial resources to conflict zones and inciting hatred in Ukraine and the Middle East. Yet again, hard to disagree. After all, it's US that has 700 to 800 military bases all around the world, and the US is a main source of destabilization in this world. I mean, like it or not, but this is true. Unfortunate true, because under proper leadership, I believe US will play good role in this world, but under current leadership or under rule of current class in the US, ruling class, call it a deep state or heads of corporations or so-called elites, whoever they are, under leadership of those states, US definitely is becoming main danger for entire world let's continue, by the way, and next topic is Ukraine and special military operation. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Vladimir Rogov, head of NGO from Zaporozhye, we are with Russia, did made statement that Russian forces did conduct a successful local scale counteroffensive in Rabotina area in Zaporozhye region of the front line, which is here, by the way. This is Rabotina settlement. And as I said quite a few times before, Russian forces on regular basis are conducting local scale offensive operations in this Orekhov bridgehead. And despite the attempts from Ukrainian side to dig into this bridgehead or to establish control over the additional territories. For example, in previous days, Ukrainian forces were trying to conduct offensives in direction of Kopani, not that successful, really, and Nesterenka here in this settlement, but Nestirianka, not really successfully. It's Russian forces that are basically more active at this point, and when one may wonder how long it will take before Russian side will encircle entire this grouping of forces of Ukrainian army in Orekhov bridgehead. That's the main question at this point, isn't it? Because I don't think anybody expects that this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive will achieve anything at all, or will, and especially will be able to conduct second wave of counteroffensive. They are just unable to do so. And even Western media, and at some level Western so-called elites are forced to acknowledge this. Let's continue, and RIA Novosti is reporting also that Kyiv regime lost 285 military personnel on Donetsk sector of the front line, according to Russian Defense Ministry. Also 8 different types of military vehicles, 8 different types of military vehicles, and M777 howitzer supplied to Kyiv regime by US. Yet again, when it comes to howitzers, I did share so many videos on my Telegram page of destruction of Ukrainian artillery pieces, including M777 and many others. That question is how many howitzers, how many artillery pieces Kyiv regime still has. Not that many, I guess. And that's why probably Russian side has upper hand when it comes to artillery duels on the front line. And when it comes to overall situation, by the way, according to reports that we see from Russian Defense Ministry or Russian media outlets, no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. Its operational pause is still holding. It's mainly artillery duels between the sides, local scale reckoning force operations or local scale offensives and counteroffensives, back and forth. Initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line, and when it comes to hotspots, at this point, of course, it's the South Donetsk sector mainly, and the Donetsk sector, southern flank of Donetsk sector, to be more precise, from Avdiivka to Marinka. But yet again, at this point, we are talking about local scale skirmishes. Nothing is happening in the scale that will influence overall situation on any of the sectors of the front line in immediate future. And dear friends, if you are interested in details, I can turn this off. I did already show you this pinned comment. And well, when it comes to detailed information about these local scale skirmishes, artillery duels, and so on, I do share many news about it on my Telegram page, but I will definitely recommend Military Summary channel, for example, because Dima, host of Military Summary, does great work to provide us with this detailed information about situation on the front line. Also, by the way, DPA war, of course, or Defense Politics Asia, and of course also host of the Duran show, Alexander Mercouris, who also devotes significant time to share with us detailed information about developments in Ukrainian conflict, in zone of Ukrainian conflict, and also in the Middle East, by the way, since this escalation between Israel and Palestine began. Let's continue. You can see links to all those channels, by the way, under this video in description box. So let's continue now, and of course many of you probably already are informed, but I will share this information for those who did not hear about this news, that yesterday Ukrainian side, Kyiv regime, did try to target Crimea with the combined assault. Maritime drones were used, and also Storm Shadow or Scalp missiles. They are similar missiles, just British variants have a Storm Shadow name and French variants have a Scalp name. And well, according to reports that we see, Russian Navy did manage to destroy at least 2 Ukrainian maritime drones while they were approaching Crimea. And after that, about 1300 hours during the day, Kyiv regime launched 8 cruise missiles in the direction of Crimea, and according to Russian Defense Ministry, all missiles were shot down by air defense systems that were on duty at the moment. Unfortunately, when fragments of those shot down destroyed missiles fell down, one person was wounded, according to a report that I see. Let's continue now, and RIA Novosti is also reporting that according to, by the way, Western media outlets, in this case, Time, by the way, Time magazine. Sorry for a long pause. So according to Western media, in this particular case, Times magazine, Zelensky demanded from Ukrainian armed forces, from general staff, basically, to conduct offensive operation in direction of Gorlovka, and he received a question from the militaries with what they should conduct offensive in direction of Gorlovka, highlighting a lack of manpower and military equipment. And this information, by the way, once again, which is published in the Time magazine, which definitely cannot be called pro-Russian in any way. So this information once again highlights not just tensions between Zelensky and his close associates and generals, many generals in Ukrainian army, including Zaluzhny, head of general staff. This information also highlights how out of touch from reality Zelensky has become, because it seems like he has no idea, and his inner circle are not really informing him about real situation on the front line, because otherwise I cannot imagine why he will demand in October, in the beginning of this month, by the way, in beginning of October, why will he demand or even think about possibility that Ukrainian armed forces are able or in the position to conduct large-scale offensive operation in direction of Gorlovka or any other direction? So that's the significance of this news, really, that there are serious tensions between leadership of Ukraine's military and Zelensky and his inner circle, and also we have a indirect, at least, proof that Zelensky definitely is out of touch with reality and has no idea what is really going on the front lines. Let's continue now. And TASS news agency, by the way, is reporting that new prime minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, did made a statement that speech of Zelensky in the European Council did not gain any significant attraction or attention, which indicates that things and times are changing. At one point, all doors were open for Zelensky, and he was received everywhere. But lately, Zelensky is not really welcomed that much, and many doors are closed to him. And Fitz recall instance when Zelensky was denied to make speech in U.S. Congress during his last visit in the USA. We all knew this. Basically, it's just too obvious that Western so-called elites are losing patience with Zelensky and losing interest in this Ukrainian crisis, and are beginning to distance themselves little by little, and they have a opportunity now to do so in a rapid pace after escalation in the Middle East. And more and more of them are focused mainly on Middle East and Israeli-Palestinian confrontation, forgetting about Ukraine entirely. Maybe not all representatives of Western so-called elites, but many of them. And new Prime Minister of Slovakia is basically just confirming exactly this. Also, by the way, RT is reporting that Zelensky feels betrayed by the West, probably exactly because he lost support and attention that he is used to. He got used to during previous months, since the beginning of this escalation in the Ukraine special military operation. And let me read several sentences, if I may. So, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky feels betrayed by his Western backers, who have denied him the support and attention he has grown used to. His aides told Time magazine, yet again, this is Time magazine, by the way, is writing about it. So, according to report published on Monday, the president's inner circle, I guess, now see him as a delusional, and conflict with Russia as impossible to win. Well done to Times magazine. Sometimes they still are able to do some journalism, I guess, still. And it's good to know that at least some people in Zelensky's circle are realizing what is going on, and realizing that Zelensky is delusional and they cannot achieve any military victory on the battlefield against Russia. It's good to know. Maybe these people who has opened their eyes will act accordingly and pressure Zelensky, if they can, to prepare ground for possible peace talks. I don't think it will happen. I mean, Zelensky is truly out of touch, and as long as Washington and London are not allowing Zelensky to talk peace, he would not be able to say anything, even if he wants to end this conflict and even if he wants to conduct peaceful negotiations. So let's see how the situation develops. RIA Novosti, by the way, is reporting that, and this was surprise to me, this news, and I believe this news will be surprised for many people in our community and many people worldwide, especially citizens of Ukraine, because yesterday Russian media did publish this news that that since the 1st January of 2023, Ukrainian citizens need a visa to enter Russian Federation. I did not know about it. I was thinking citizens of Ukraine still are able to enter Russia without visas, but this is not the case. This is not the case. Let me translate it more precisely, because maybe some citizens of Ukraine are watching our program from Western states, and maybe they were planning to flee to Russia to avoid possible deportation to Ukraine and forced mobilization. So for them, this information will be especially important, because I don't think many people knew about this. So Russian Federation, the Russian Foreign Ministry officially announced that the agreement on visa-free travel between the Russian Federation and Ukraine from 1997 ceased to apply on January 1st of this year. The portal Prava.gov.ru posted a message from the ministry dated October 30 that on January 1st, 2023, by the way, the agreement between the government of Russian Federation and the government of the Ukraine on visa-free travel for citizens of the Russian Federation and Ukraine, signed in Moscow on January 16, 1997, was terminated. In 2022, Ukraine announced the introduction of a visa regime with Russia. Electronic copies of the Ukrainian note with the corresponding notifications were sent to the Russian side. So seems like from 1st January of 2023, 10 months ago, Russian side change requirements for citizens of Ukraine and are demanding for visas. Maybe these changes were not published in the media, was not discussed in the media. That's why I was surprised when I heard about this. Or maybe implementation of these changes will begin from now, after publication. That's also possibility. But anyway, if Ukrainian citizens were planning to travel to Russia, recently I did report that they will have a right to enter Russian territory only in 2 border crossing areas. That was done for security reasons by Russian side. One is Sheremetyevo and one is in I cannot remember name, but it's bordering one of the Baltic states, if I'm not mistaken, and that Baltic state shut down that border crossing after announcement from Moscow about it. And now, as I understand, Ukrainian citizens can enter Russia only through Sheremetyevo airport. And also we have this new update that Ukrainian citizens should have with them visa. They should require visa first and then only travel to Russia. Probably Russian side has some intelligence that Kiev regime is planning to send to Russia extremists, possibly from Western states, and that's why these increased measures have been implemented for security. Let's continue now, and RIA Novosti is reporting the Prime Minister of Netherlands made a statement. Mark Rutte, by the way, who is, I guess, leaving office in fairly short time, he did made a statement that during the next 2 weeks, first bunch of F-16s will be deployed to Romania, and the Ukrainian pilots will receive opportunity in fairly short time after that to begin the training on these Western-made fighter jets, US-made fighter jets. This is once again, by the way, propaganda move from Prime Minister of Netherlands. Maybe he is lacking some attention lately, and he used this Ukrainian topic of Ukrainian crisis to gain some attention of public or media, because I'm quite sure Zelensky's regime will never have any control over any Western-made fighter jets, ever. It's not happening. All these talks about deliveries of Western fighter jets to Kiev regime is just total nonsense, by the way. Western fighter jets will be introduced to the battlefield only when Poland, Hungary, Romania, possibly Slovakia, with support of some other NATO member states, will try to establish control over the western regions of Ukraine. Only then we will see introduction of Western fighter jets to Ukrainian theater of operations, and just to establish no-fly zone over the western regions of Ukraine, and in no case to conduct any military operations against Russian forces. These NATO member states will definitely try to avoid direct confrontation with Russia at any cost, obviously. Although some incidents may take place and probably will take place, unfortunately, because when we are talking about large-scale movements on the ground of opposed forces or not really friendly forces, incidents may occur, even if the states are not in the open confrontation. Anyway, let's continue. Rogov, by the way, head of NGO We Are With Russia from Zaporozhye region, also shared with public information that in Zaporozhye sector of the front line, group of Ukrainian military personnel laid down arms and surrendered. And according to Rogov, these type of instances are becoming daily routine on the front line, when Ukrainian militaries are just lay down arms and saving their lives. No surprises really. I did report many times about these instances of Ukrainian forces lay down arms and surrendering, and such cases will just increase, obviously. As the situation deteriorates for Ukrainian armed forces, of course, more and more Ukrainian forcefully mobilized Ukrainian military personnel will make the right decision to leave and not to die for Zelensky's bloody regime and the Western masters of Zelensky, or geopolitical interests of Western masters of Zelensky and current regime in Kiev. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that recently nationalized flat of Zelensky in Crimea have been sold on auction, by the way, for 44.3 million rubles. This is reported by RIA Novosti, and many other Russian media outlets also, of course, pay attention to this news. And according to latest about this topic, what I read is that this money will be transferred in the fund of support of special military operation by local government in Crimea. Well, interesting news, especially for Zelensky, I guess. And previously, by the way, there were some statements that in this flat, possibly some museum will be opened about atrocities that was committed by Kyiv regime. RIA Novosti, by the way, is also reporting about also very significant topic. This update is gonna be too long, man. So RIA Novosti is reporting that Ukrainian parliament is basically acting as a shield for Ukrainian infamous Ukrainian narco cartel Himprom. That's the name of this narco cartel, Himprom. And RIA Novosti receive information from sources in Russian secret services. Sources are unnamed, but according to information from RIA Novosti, some names even are said. And I'm gonna translate entire this topic, by the way, to share with you more detailed information. So the organized criminal group Himprom, which created a drug distribution network in Ukraine and Russia, received support of cover from the Verkhovna Rada, which is parliament in Ukraine. A source in the Russian intelligence services told RIA Novosti. Russian special services uncovered the full composition of the Himprom organized crime group, which has been operating since 2014. It includes about 1,000 people, the source said. Himprom was organized and headed by Igor Burkin, who moved to Ukraine from Russia in 2016 after the Russian intelligence services began developing case against him. After he moved to Ukraine, he did receive Ukrainian passport, this Igor Burkin. According to reports, members of Himprom are behind the recent attempts to arson the house of Ukrainian blogger Anatoly Shary in Spain. Many of you, by the way, maybe are familiar with this person, Anatoly Shary. He is a Ukrainian blogger, journalist, and politician also. He had a party which is blocked in Ukraine by Zelensky's regime. And his house, by the way, recently, about 10 days ago, was attacked by members of this Ukrainian narco cartel, Himprom, during the night with Molotov cocktails. And according to Spanish media, 5 to 6 Molotov cocktails were thrown to house of Anatoly Shary during the night time when his wife and kid were in the house and sleeping. And well, fortunately, all of them survived. But I mean, incident itself is of course horrifying, and Spanish authorities did begin investigation, and Spanish media did write extensively on this matter, and they did begin concentrating their attention on involvement of Kiev regime in operations of this criminal group, narco cartel, basically, Himprom. And by the way, Shary himself, I did watch several videos of him recently after this attack took place, and he did share some videos in which these members or heads of this organized crime group are discussing some dealings, and including they are discussing Shary and how they're gonna deal with him. Shary received threats from these people, and 10 days ago they did try to kill him and his family members. And Shary himself, by the way, is going further than this report on RIA Novosti, which is based on Russian secret services. According to information that Shary has, some people in the inner circle of Zelensky are also have a close ties with this narco cartel, and it's highly likely that Zelensky's administration, presidential administration of Ukraine, is possibly true head of this narco cartel. That's a possibility. Zelensky is continuing to unleash information about this narco cartel, because he was first, as I understand, who did began publishing materials about this, and that's why he was targeted by these criminals. And yet again, according to him, some people in administration of Zelensky have close ties with this narco cartel, which is absolutely unsurprising, by the way. Will anybody surprised to hear this? Of course not. But anyway, let's continue. I will go through at least headlines, because it's already 45 minutes, man. So RT is reporting that Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, rules out Gaza ceasefire. So next main topic, of course, is escalation in the Middle East. And I will share with you latest that was reported in Russian media. So Netanyahu is against peace talks, also unsurprisingly. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to statements from Israeli army, IDF is sending more and more additional forces in the Gaza Strip, especially in the northern parts of the Gaza. And even though nobody yet are talking about large-scale invasion in Gaza, operations of Israeli ground forces in Gaza already have begun. And yesterday afternoon, by the way, many media outlets, including RIA Novosti, did report that according to eyewitnesses, Israeli tanks were seen on outskirts of Gaza City. And this is also was reported by France press. So ground operation is in force at this point, undoubtedly. But for whatever reason, maybe not to aggravate people worldwide that are in support of Palestine, terminology have changed, and Israeli authorities no longer are talking about large-scale ground operation. They are usually saying that they are increasing their operations and sending additional forces, and this type of statements. Although in reality it's a ground operation, of course. Otherwise, how Israeli tanks end up in the vicinity of Gaza City? Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Israeli side, 800,000 residents of northern Gaza did flee region and move towards southern part of Gaza Strip. This was stated by Jonathan Conricus, who is press speaker of IDF, and I remind you that on 13th of October, Israel informed the UN and the public worldwide that they demand 1.1 million Palestinians to be evacuated from northern sectors of the Gaza. And dear friend, you may find this information also interesting and very much disturbing. TASS news agency is reporting about article in the Times of Israel newspaper, according to which Israeli intelligence did had a document according to which this state institution was proposing to displace 2.3 million residents of Gaza to Egypt in Sinai Peninsula, into Sinai. So basically, and according to articles in this newspaper, Israeli government did not hold any meetings on high top level to discuss this document of Israeli intelligence service, and no decisions was made about it. That's according to this newspaper, and yet again, this information is based, denial is based on statements of Israeli officials. What happened in reality, who knows, but fact itself that Israeli intelligence had a document and worked plan about displacing 2.3 million residents of Gaza to Egypt, to Sinai, on its own is disturbing enough, isn't it? And well, you know my take on this escalation. I said from very beginning that in my understanding, in my reading of big picture, Israeli government will try to force local residents out of Gaza Strip, at least Gaza Strip, and will try to implement Karabakh scenario. And if you remember, in Karabakh, after successful Azerbaijani offensive operations, local Armenian residents were forced basically to flee the region, and Karabakh now basically left without locals. Only, I don't have exact number, but vast majority of local residents, local Armenian residents in Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh, flee this region, and I was afraid that exactly same may happen in Gaza Strip. And now we have a Israeli newspaper which is writing that Israeli intelligence service had a document and plan to force 2.3 million locals in Gaza, or all of the locals basically in Gaza Strip, to relocate to Egypt. You tell me, what is this, man? And unfortunately, I'm afraid this plan will be implemented. I think main goal for Netanyahu and his government when it comes to this escalation in Gaza is to force all the locals, or vast majority of locals, out of Gaza Strip. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that US, by the way, is also against ceasefire in the Gaza, and this was stated by John Kirby, official representative also of White House. And well, US officials are arguing that any even a temporary ceasefire in the region will benefit Hamas. How cold-blooded these people really are, when they know that as a result of this escalation, already more than 8,000 civilians, in Palestinian civilians, have been killed, half of them children. And when they know this, how they can say that they are against ceasefire? I mean, what is wrong with these people, man? I don't understand. I don't know. I can understand the anger of Israelis because of this horrible act of violence and terrorism that Hamas committed against Israeli civilians. But yet again, one atrocity do not justify another. One atrocity never ever justifies another one. And that's why, by the way, I just don't understand how anybody can say openly that they are against ceasefire when they know that thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians are dying because of this confrontation. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to let me translate this also, by the way. I'm gonna use this method more often. So the United States not only provides support to Israel in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, but also directly involved in the hostilities, sending its military personnel to Gaza. Former Palestinian ambassador to France, Salman Harfi, told RIA Novosti. So, dear friends, lately probably you also did see on many pages on internet, including media, articles or reports about participation of U.S. military in the hostilities in the Gaza Strip. We did not yet see any factual evidence of that, photo or video evidence of that, but well, after all, we all know that Hamas has hundreds of hostages, more than 200 hostages. Among them, many are U.S. citizens, and I would not be surprised if U.S. special forces are conducting operations to rescue hostages. I will understand this type of operation for sure, and at this point, I'm not yet convinced that U.S. militaries are involved in these operations, in military hostilities in the Gaza Strip in any other ways, directly, other than these special ops to free hostages. But well, let's see how situation will develop further. After all, I did report yesterday that this Bataan, USS Bataan, large amphibious ship of U.S. Navy, is about to enter Mediterranean from Red Sea, and this assault ship has a 26th Expeditionary Corpus force on the board, which is more than 2,000 Marines. And well, I would not be surprised at all if U.S. Marines will participate, or U.S. military personnel, not just ground forces but also air force, will also participate in this escalation. But at this point, my understanding is that if U.S. militaries are involved in a ground operation, just in a small scale, as a special operations from special forces to free hostages, I don't see a reason why U.S. at this stage of hostilities will send hundreds and thousands of its military personnel into Gaza Strip. I don't see logic in that. But some U.S. special forces probably are operating in the Gaza. Same probably can be said about British special forces, German special forces, French special forces. That's a possibility. But I did share with you a statement that was made by a former Palestinian ambassador in the France. RIA Novosti is reporting, by the way, that Defense Minister of Germany, Boris Pistorius, did call for preparations in Europe for future wars. According to him, it's necessary to get prepared for a war in Europe. And as an indicator of necessity to get ready, he is using Ukrainian crisis. Although, come on, I don't think anybody in Europe gonna believe that Russia is threatening them. Russia never threatened European states and never will, because why should Russia threaten anybody, really? You know. But of course, this topic of Russia will be used by Western so-called elites to spend even more and more billions. To spend even more and more billions on military-industrial complex, on defense, and so on. That's why Pistorius is talking about preparation for war. Only reason, because they know perfectly well Russia is not a threat for Europe. And if Russia is not attacked, there is no way Russia will attack them. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Pashinyan, by the way, Prime Minister of Armenia, did make statement that he is ready to conduct peace talks with his Azerbaijani counterpart, and he spoke about main topics after resolve, which needs to be resolved, after which peace with Azerbaijan will be possible. Establishment of normal relationships, let's say, and mainly he's talking about recognition of territorial integrity, of mutual recognition of territorial integrity of each other by Armenia and Azerbaijan in the territories that they hold during in the Soviet Union as a Soviet republics. Baku has some issues with this, as I understand, and well, let's see how Azerbaijan will respond to this proposal. Pashinyan also wants demarcation and demilitarization of the borderlines, and opening of transport communications. Azerbaijan also wants transport communications to be opened, but when it comes to recognizing territorial integrity of Armenia in the borders that Armenia held in the Soviet Union, Azerbaijani government, at least for now, as I understand, have some issues with this because they want ground corridor to Nakhichevan. They want ground corridor to Nakhichevan, by the way, and let's take a look at this map. It's hard to see much, but this is here Azerbaijan, by the way, this is Armenia, and this is Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic, which is part of Azerbaijan, but bordering Turkey, Iran, and Armenia, and has no direct link to Azerbaijan. So that's why sides have some issues at this point. Let's see if Azerbaijan responds on this initiative from Pashinyan. Also, by the way, a few more news. Russia faces 23 billion bail for rail expansion in the remote Asian region. So Russian Railways has unveiled the cost of planned expansion of the country's key train transport corridors, freight transport corridors, BAM, that's the name of it, and the Transsib, according to reports by Business Daily Commerçant on Monday, citing internal documents of Russian Railways. The project will cost roughly 2.2 trillion rubles, which is approximately 23.6 billion US dollars. The company plans to boost the freight capacity of the arteries from the current 1.97 million tons to 255 million tons. So expansion of railway network and modernization is definitely needed. And I guess Russian Railways will receive some support from government also to conduct all the necessary work for increase of its transport capacities. Also, by the way, RT is reporting that according to Indian Foreign Minister, buying Russian oil is in India's best interests, which is, well, I mean, who can argue with this? So Indian Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, legendary foreign minister, by the way, said on Sunday that New Delhi acted in its best interests when it decided to continue buying oil from Russia, despite pressure from the West. Speaking on the country's foreign policy priorities, including its position on the ongoing Middle East crisis, Jaishankar emphasized the importance of good governance and having a consistent position on pressing issues such as terrorism. There was a lot of attention over our strong stance on our right to buy oil from Russia, Jaishankar said in the speech in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. That's region, I guess. He had we not exercised that option, think what difference it would have made to you. Think how much higher your petroleum prices would have been. Think how much inflation would have gone up in this country. He's talking about, of course, how things will go down if India wouldn't buy Russian oil, especially with discount, by the way, because Russia is discounting its oil. And yet again, by the way, India is a strategic partner for Russia, and it's not just for a year or two, but it's decades like that. And it's great. It's great. In my understanding, strategic partnership between India and Russia is extremely important for entire world, and especially for global East and global South. Let's say this way. Let's continue. Several more news, by the way. So RT is reporting based on article in Egypt. Based on information from JP Morgan, that Israel is facing major economical crisis. So JP Morgan has sharply lowered its fourth quarter economical forecast for Israel. According to research note made public on Friday, the country's gross domestic product may shrink 11% from the previous 3 months, aiming the escalation of hostilities with the Palestinian armed group Hamas. The economy may shrink more than 10%, by the way, in fourth quarter, and for several percent in a year-on-year term, as I understand, which is not surprising. Israeli economy was already not in its best shape before this escalation began, but now, as Israeli has forced to mobilize hundreds of thousands of reservists, and businesses are basically left without workforce in many cases. Of course, it will hurt Israeli economy, undoubtedly, and not just that, but also increase in prices, energy prices, and so on, destruction of infrastructure. So no surprises there. Unfortunately, this escalation is devastating, not just for Palestine, but also for Israel. Although scales are, uncomparable, of course, we all understand that. And by the way, this is going to be last news for today's update. RT is reporting the WTO warns global economy could lose 5% of GDP. So the global economy is showing signs of fragmentation, which could be very costly for all. World Trade Organization Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has warned. Well, according to this individual, head of WTO, if world economy will be fragmented in two major blocks, Western one and the rest of the world, let's say. In that case, the global economy will lose at least 5%, and all sides will feel this, which is hard to argue, really. Any destruction for the global economy will be painful for all the economies worldwide, but yet again, fragmentation of global economy is inevitable at this point, because Western so-called elites are not willing to accept multipolarity of this world and are still trying to dominate over everybody, while rest of the world is more and more actively are creating alternative systems of banking, finances, trade routes, and so on. without any connection with the Western systems, and this will just continue. This is unstoppable process, and eventually, if Western so-called elites will not change their approach, we will end up in a world where two global economical systems will function same time, simultaneously. Western world will be one economical system, and the rest of the world will be another one. And this is it. For now. Very long update, dear friends, but so many news, really, so many news, and hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please consider to click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. It's extremely important to me and this project, because more likes and comments probably increases my chances to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And finally, if you think this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram, including this one, by the way, are interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.